So, what does it mean to serve your country when the front line is right in your own backyard? That's the question we're going to dig into today through this incredibly personal story that honestly captures the pressure everyone was feeling on the American home front during World War II. And this quote, this was a toast from a guy named Fred Seaver on his 31st birthday. I mean, think about it. He's newly married, he's just trying to build this small, normal life, all while this massive global war is raging.
Yeah, this is the story of Betty and Fred Seaver. And believe it or not, their first 4 months of marriage, it's like a perfect snapshot of the anxiety, the choices, and yeah, the resilience of the whole country. So let's set the scene. We're in San Diego, fall of 1942. The city is just humming, completely transformed by the war effort. So on the one hand, life kind of went on, you know? People were still having parties, celebrating birthdays, but just under the surface, beneath that really fragile sense of normal, the war was always there. It was like this uninvited guest at every single gathering.
And just look at this timeline. It shows you just how fast things escalated. I mean, we're talking about a matter of weeks. What starts as a simple birthday party in mid-October, well, by Thanksgiving, it's a series of events that will change their lives forever. Okay, so Fred's birthday party, it really was this perfect picture of community, right? You've got 11 friends crammed into this tiny house, sharing pot roast and chocolate cake. It feels almost normal. But the war, it was in all the little details. The gifts, for instance. They weren't luxuries, they were practical things, like socks. And of course, the conversation kept coming back to the new reality. Rationing, women working in factories, trying to juggle it all. And right there, in the middle of this happy little party, that's where the real conflict of the story starts to bubble up. It's quiet at first, just a private conversation off to the side. Fred's friend Marshall, he says this, and he's basically speaking for so many men on the home front. This guild was just eating away at them. See, Marshall's past draft age, his job is essential to the war effort, but with all the Uncle Sam posters and news from the front lines, he still feels like he's not doing his part. And hearing that, well, it planted a little seed of doubt in Fred's mind too. And then, bam, the very next day, a telegram shows up. And just like that, the war isn't some abstract idea you talk about with friends anymore. It's personal. It's family. Fred's younger brother, he just enlisted in the Navy. So this news, it forces Fred and Betty to have the conversation, the one that millions of couples were having in living rooms all across America. A conversation that really carried the weight of the world on its shoulders. And this, right here, this is the core of Fred's struggle. You gotta understand, he's already pulling 12-hour days, 6 days a week, at Roar Aircraft, building critical parts for bombers. I mean, by any standard, he's doing his part. But now, with his brother putting on a uniform, his own job suddenly felt, well, too safe. And for him, that just felt wrong. I mean, you can just feel the weight on his shoulders here. It's like a balancing act, right? On one side, you've got patriotism, the fact that his brother is serving, and this really powerful, nagging guilt. And on the other side, his absolutely vital war work, his brand new marriage, and this whole life he and Betty were just starting to build. But then, Betty steps in, and she just completely reframes the whole argument. It's this incredibly powerful moment where she tells him, hey, your work on the home front isn't the safe option. It is service. She makes him understand that his know-how in that factory, it's saving lives just as much as any soldier with a rifle. So together, they make a decision. Fred's not going to volunteer. He'll keep doing his essential work, but if he gets drafted, he'll go. And making that choice together, it didn't make the war disappear, obviously, but it gave them solid ground to stand on. It let them find a new kind of rhythm, a new purpose in their life. Okay, so with that huge, immediate crisis of what do we do behind them, they started focusing on the things they could control. Actually building their life together and trying to find things to be grateful for, even with all that constant wartime anxiety. 8. Yeah, just the number 8. It sounds so small, right? But in a world that was just total chaos and uncertainty, this was Betty's anchor. She got really good at making 8 solid, reliable dinner recipes. In a time of rationing and, well, unpredictability, making a good, comforting meal, think pot roast or meatloaf, that was a small but huge act of defiance. It was her way of clawing back a little bit of normalcy. And then there was their victory garden. That little patch of dirt in their backyard was so much more than just a way to get vegetables. It was a real, tangible connection to the war effort. So when Betty served green beans or tomatoes that they grew themselves, it wasn't just what's for dinner. It was a personal contribution to this massive nationwide push to feed the country and support the troops.
They were far away from their own families, so you know what they did? They decided to create a new one. Their Thanksgiving wasn't going to be for relatives. It was a Friendsgiving for other couples who were in the exact same boat. And this is how it worked back then. This is how communities were built during the war, out of necessity, out of friendship. These were the lifelines that helped millions of people get through it all.
And just look at this menu. It's so simple, and that's what makes it so beautiful, so normal. A small turkey breast, some mashed potatoes, and yep, there they are, the green beans from their own garden. It just grounds this whole emotional story in these real, tangible things, the very life they were all fighting to protect. And this toast from their friend George, man, it just perfectly sums up the whole spirit of the home front. It wasn't about big, flashy heroics like in the movies. It was about resilience. It was about community. And it was about this shared, quiet promise to just make it through whatever came next, together. At the end of the day, their story just goes to show you that patriotism wasn't just one thing. For Betty and Fred, it wasn't about shipping off to fight overseas. It was about getting up every single day, going to your job, tending your garden, and sharing a meal with your friends. It was about the simple, profound act of building and defending a good life, right where they were. So their story really makes you question our whole definition of service and sacrifice, doesn't it? It leaves us with this question that's just as relevant today as it was then. When a nation is in crisis, where is the front line really? And what does it truly mean to serve?